Hi guys, it's Joy, and I didn't expect to make this video, but I saw this and I went, you've got to be kidding me. Round two, or what is it, with James Charles. So there is another accusation against James Charles for having predator type behavior. And I saw this, and honestly, it was so ridiculous. I was like, I gotta say something about this because I feel like it epitomizes everything that I've just grown so tired of when it comes to social media, when it comes to YouTubers or influencers as a whole. So somebody has come out and said that James Charles is doing predatory-like behavior to them. They put up a TikTok video. There's a part 1 and a part 2. These are short because they're TikToks. I want to show it to you, and then I want to show you what's really happened. Take a look.
So as you can see, James Charles commented on one of my videos back in August. Then right after, he adds me on Snap, but notice he didn't follow my Instagram or TikTok. So at this point, I'm just shocked. I'm going insane. Like, I see this guy everywhere, and for him to add me, that's just crazy. So we texted for a couple days, but it was more of like, hey, what you doing? How you doing? We ended up getting the yellow heart within just 3 days. Then, you know, after those 3 days of getting to know each other and everything, the big question came out. James asked me if I'm gay. I told him I'm straight, and things start to get weird from there. He then starts leaving me on open. Literally the same day I told him I was straight, he left me on open for 10 hours. But I don't blame him because he did say he was looking for a relationship on a podcast at the time.
Looking for love on a long-term, like, longevity.
But I would get these out of the blue snaps from him asking how am I doing or what are you doing, like, out of nowhere. And it went on for like a while, for like a week. And then he just asked me openly, would you be willing to experiment? I said no. He asked why. And I said because I don't feel comfortable doing something like that. Then he started questioning my decision, asking why, and he tried making me feel like it was okay. He sent me this.
What are you worried for, though? It's not like anybody's actually there, like about to suck your dick or something.
So after he sent me that, I thought to myself, why me? Like, why does he like me out of everyone in the world? Like, why is he so open to me? Like, how does he know I'm not going to take a video of him without him noticing? So I was scrolling through TikTok one day, on the For You page, and I seen him comment on another guy's TikTok. So I went and DM'd the guy. Now, me being the curious person I am, I asked him, is James Charles hitting on you too? He responds with yes. And then I asked him, are you gay, straight, or bi? He said he was straight like me. Now, what was crazy is the same day someone hit me up and asked me, is James Charles hitting on me? Here's the screenshot. I take that back. He asked me, did James Charles hit you up too? Notice it's August 26th. This is all around August. Now, I asked the guy, and he was straight. Now, we all ended up with the same stories. Like, he tries to make you feel like it's okay to try experimenting, which is wrong. Now, James one day ends up doing something really dumb. He sends me a nude out of nowhere, out of context, out of the blue.
So it's interesting because he was like, the way he came across was like, well, I said I wasn't gay, but he still sent me a nude, or he did this and he did that. Or I said I wasn't gay and he still talked to me, and that's wrong. Here's the thing. How many times have we had this happen in our life where there's somebody in our life that we might find attractive and either they're not attracted to us or it's not going to work for some reason? Well, you can still have them in your life. You can even still feel attracted and just not act upon it. You can try to keep it at a friendship level. That's happened to me several times. Like, I think, and I've said this before, I think there's a difference between like being strongly in love or having strong feelings for somebody and pretending to be their friend all while you're wanting or expecting more versus being like, oh, well, I have an attraction to you, but I can let that go. I don't focus on it because the friendship is more important. And I think there's a difference between those two. And the allegations that have come out, if you guys remember in the summer of 2019, James Charles had the big allegation from Taddy that turned into Jeffree Star and turned into Shane and all these other situations when it came to James Charles. And what they said was James Charles is a predator, and that and one of the big things in him being predatory is that he goes after men that are straight. So I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings about it because on the one hand, you're attracted to who you're attracted to. Maybe, you know, he really likes guys that are more, you know, masculine and more of that nature. However, if he were to try to act upon that and continue to push somebody who's set boundaries, that would be an issue. But it turns out it seems like the majority of this was lies. Now, I wasn't on YouTube at this time, but I remember when I saw this breaking and I saw Taddy's video and I saw what was going down and everybody hate James Charles. I remember I looked at that and I was like, there's not enough evidence for this. Something doesn't smell right. And I remember I was messaging Mikenactor back and forth and we were both talking about it. And I was like, hey, I was like, is it just me? Or a lot of times, like without even talking, we end up having really parallel ways of looking at things. He's like my little male counterpart twin in Australia. Mikenactor, go subscribe if you don't know who that is. He's a fantastic YouTuber. He's a doll. And so we both were kind of like, yeah, this is gossip and there's no actual information. And I'll tell you what I feel like I've seen is from James Charles. I don't know him, so I hope this doesn't sound, in any way like derogatory or inappropriate, but like I'm really proud of him as a person because it's so hard to go through accusations like that online and even know what to do. But I feel like in 2019, he handled it really gracefully. He allowed himself to take some time to get himself together. He realized his career was being destroyed, comes back and hits them with evidence that a lot of what they're saying is predatory behavior, right? Like, well, I'm a celebrity. That was a joke between them. That was a joke about how people, when they get to that level, become big-headed and they don't want to be that. And this is why I've done a lot of videos lately about Shane Dawson and even a few about Jeffree Star. I know Jeffree has done mistakes. I know he's been involved in crap. I'm not going to act like he's an angel, right? But I do think it's always good when we hear gossip and when we hear crap like this to give the benefit of the doubt until we have evidence. Once we have evidence, I think that's a bigger picture. But many times we're going to ruin somebody's career based off of someone said something. And that's just, I don't buy that. Like, I don't subscribe to that way of thinking. And I feel like that's more and more prevalent online. So for James Charles, I'm really proud of him as a person for how he's dealt with these things. And once again, James came back swinging. So James actually responded to this. And here's what James has said. So James put up a message saying, you are so weird for this. An expose video because you're mad. I unadded you after months of not talking after you told me you were straight. ... Okay. More comes out. Then James says social media apps should have stronger policies around spreading false information. It's actually insane how one person can fake a story or screenshot for clout and people will believe it because it's entertaining. It's all fun and laughs until it happens to you. Then he puts this screenshot up. James says, I confronted him a few nights ago and he sent me these and promised to delete them. And then 10 minutes later, unsent it all. Lucky, I screenshotted it all before he could delete it. And so this was what had happened, and this was some of the stuff that was said between them in those messages. It says, your TikTok is actually pathetic. It's really embarrassing how desperate you are for clout. I added you, and you told me you were bi, but didn't know how to come out. We talked for a few days, and then you said you were actually straight, so I left you alone. And then after months of not talking or Snapchatting, I unadded you. And a few days ago, you get upset and try to expose me for leaving you unopened? Grow up, dude. I didn't say anything rude to you. I didn't expose you. I didn't out you. I literally removed you as a friend after we hadn't talked for 11 weeks. If you want to keep telling your story on TikTok, I promise that I have absolutely no problem. Yes, James, shedding some light on what actually went down. So I recommend you cut the BS and let me move on from the non-existent relationship we had. And the guy says, I didn't even read everything up there that you texted because I'm in the wrong. I apologize. So then James continues, and James says something about, I'm not looking for friends. I told you that when we first started talking. When you told me you were straight, I left you alone. It is absolutely ridiculous to try to expose me for doing nothing just because you're angry that I unadded you. And so then this kid said, and he says, James, you don't need to explain yourself. He says, we talked a week ago in August. That was 6 months ago. And what's weird is, so I'm understanding these messages, right? There's a heart there. That means this kid put a heart there. I don't know. It's just weird. It's like, why would he have hearted that? I don't know. I think that actually gives some credit to what James is saying. Maybe this guy is kind of bi and confused. Or maybe that's his way of saying that that is the truth and correct. I don't know. Because you wouldn't really do that to your own message, right? So he says, you never did anything wrong. Hopefully everything goes for you and your everything goes good for you in your relationship life. He says, It's not because stupid crap like this happens to me constantly, where guys only care about my clout, not me as a person. He says, of course I care about you a person. As soon as I got a notification that you DM'd me, I felt so bad and thought to myself, WTF am I doing? Like literally, you did not do anything, and I don't want to put you in extra drama that you don't need. And then we have another one where James was further explaining, saying, nah, the guy said he was bi and wanted to experiment, but scared because of his religion. So I told him he shouldn't be. So in that video where you're hearing say, well, you shouldn't be, blah, blah, blah. He was talking about the fact that he was trying to explain you shouldn't be scared or whatever because of your religion to explore yourself if that's what you want to do. I never sent him a nude and then stopped talking to him when he told me he was straight a week later. He's upset because I added him and I unadded him a few days ago. Lol. Once again, I think James just really handles this gracefully. And I think it just goes to show you how much is on the internet and how much bullcrap is out there. You know, on the one hand, I agree with James when James says we need to have better policies or we need to have something better for false information that's spread. The problem is I don't know how you do that when it comes to something. I know we have the fact checkers on Facebook, which everybody just laughs at and mocks because it's ridiculous. Like, I understand why they would want to have it, but I don't think you can really police information like this. Like, if you guys have looked back in different points in history, like if you guys see on Hulu, there's, what is that show about Catherine, right? So one thing that's happened when it comes to freedom of the press or free speech is kind of similar to what happened there when they allow that and open that up. And then all of a sudden, people's reputations and even lives are getting ruined from people spreading nasty stuff. And I think a lot of times we've had different, in different points in history, they've stopped free speech or freedom of the press for things of that nature. And of course, they don't want their nefarious stuff they're doing to be outed. I'm not acting like the elite are great, but I am saying it's a double-edged sword. The problem is, how would you do that? And on top of that, the majority of the social media accounts, I think, the ones who are like, drama accounts or the ones that really follow stuff, they would be gone because you would have to be absolutely certain before you say anything. And on top of that, what would happen to things like the Me Too movement, stuff where your voices need to be heard or minority voices? What if they wanted to tell their stories about what they've been through, but they don't have proof, so they're not allowed? Like, there are certain things where I'm like, it's a good idea, but I don't know how you execute it. Kind of like, if you didn't see my video from earlier, I put up another Eugenia Cooney video. I think, there's a big argument with whether or not she'd be kicked offline because of she's gotten thinner. And she's telling everybody that everything is okay when she's come out with an eating issue and people think her audience is that they're going to be influenced to look like her because she's a fashion influencer. I totally get, and I'm supportive of the idea, but I don't think you can kick her off. Like even the petition, I saw a petition that's being passed around. I did a video on this petition. It's not going to work. They're like, remove her until she's better. Well, what does that mean? There are no guidelines for what does better mean. Does she need a doctor's note? That's a HIPAA violation. Like, I don't think there's a way you can actually do that. And that's my concern. However, you could argue Onision just got demonetized, and it was because he got so much bad press about what he was doing when it comes to YouTube because of Chris Hansen and Discovery, plus that YouTube cut him out. So at the end of the day, technically YouTube can kind of do whatever they want. It's their platform, right? Like, that's the scary thing about these, and this is a really big debate about these social media companies, is they don't necessarily have to adhere to rules because they're a private business to an extent. So, in terms of of how they run their platform, in many ways, they can kind of do as they please, which is kind of scary because all those big companies, big tech is right up there with big government. They're all in bed. None of them are good. So I agree with him. And, it's funny. And I've kind of wondered at this point, I'm like, in the next couple years, I kind of wonder if a lot of these channels on YouTube, these, drama channels or these types of people, if this is going to be done. I'm not saying it will. I'm not saying it won't. I wouldn't be surprised. And James is absolutely right because you guys know, you've watched me. I've gone through this. I've gone through extreme, severe, false allegations. I understand why it happened. I'm not trying to dissect it all, but you guys know I went through such extreme stuff, and not just that, where people were like really trying to hurt my real life because they believed all these rumors. It just became a frenzy where I was like, I gotta get out of this. And I just left. And I know what that feels like. So it is. It looks like fun and games and it looks like entertainment until it happens to you, until your life starts getting destroyed. And I think, you know, I have compassion for James because being as young as he is, he wants to be social. He wants to go have fun like every young kid, right? And I say kid, I don't mean that demeaning. I just mean when I say kid, I'm 36. I mean younger than me, right? But it's not to demean his age or anything. He should want to go out and go have fun. That's that age, but it might be difficult for him because it's almost like when you get to that point, the people you can really connect with are the people that do the same thing as you do. But the majority of these social media people, you can't really trust. So it's not like you can really trust the people that can relate to you because they might be stabbing you in the back. So I mean, he can't even try to get to know somebody without them just trying to use him. And also this kid, he's got like over 300,000 people on TikTok that follow him. Like I look at that and I'm like, you know, you seem to have talent on your own. Why would you want to use that? You know what I mean? And you know what sucks? He could have turned this around for his benefit. If he was looking for some clout, he could have been like, hey, just want to talk about the time that James Charles was interested in me and how flattered I was. And you know, here's the thing. Maybe he is bi and he's just struggling with it. Here's the other part. Maybe he's not bi at all. But this is what I think might happen to James or other people in James's position, you know, who are somebody who's a big influencer, a sizable influencer in the LGBT. I wonder if they would have people acting interested because they're excited to get the attention and what they could get off that. And that's kind of what I wonder if this is what happened. And I'm not saying it did or didn't. I don't know. I'm speculating. But I went and checked. And so far, this kid hasn't said anything else about this situation. So what I've given you is all we have. But I feel like this really goes to show you, don't just take any accusation at face value. We've gotten so bad at this on the internet. Look at what happened with James Charles, right? In the beginning with James Charles. It was, he made some jokes, he's a predator. And then James Charles outs, these were jokes, these were private jokes amongst friends that were taken out of context. This is why many times I like to give the benefit of the doubt for the people who are unpopular. That's why many times I will challenge popular opinion and say, hey, maybe all these accusations against Shane aren't what we think they are. Doesn't mean Shane is perfect. Doesn't mean he hasn't made mistakes. And doesn't mean he hasn't done what he's accused of. But I am saying until we have actual direct evidence and some victims that come forward with evidence, I think we have to be careful. But then that's the part that sucks, because then you have stuff like the Me Too movement where victims many times don't really have it unless you are completely violated. You don't have a lot of avenues you can go through necessarily unless you just want to make a police report. But there's even restrictions and limitations on when you can make a police report. So that's kind of where some of this gets tricky when James says we should have better regulation. How do you do that without a mass censorship? I would be all for it if there was a way to do it. I don't know. Like, maybe we're going to have better technology in a few hundred years, or what I would like to say tomorrow, because that's what I want, where it can, like, I don't know, I'd love to have brain scans that can, I don't think it's necessarily a possible thing to pick up on what everybody is thinking, because our thoughts are multidimensional and sometimes we're thinking about several things at once and it's abstract, but that it can at least pick up on intention and things. Like, there is, you guys remember that guy, what was his name? Avery something. He had that, it was that big thing on Netflix. And this lady ended up, somebody took her off the planet, please and for, I don't want to get demonetized. And this guy went to prison as a result twice, but it doesn't, the evidence doesn't really line up. What am I talking, Stephen Avery, is that what his name is? You guys know what I'm talking about? So, you know, they have polygraph tests, right? And polygraph tests are lie detector tests, but those are not good tests to take. Like if you have situations, like if you are high anxiety, mental illness that's prone to like anxiety, panic disorders, heart conditions, like there are certain things where it can be detrimental to you, because what it's picking up on is it's picking up on like nervousness, heart rate, respiration, blood pressure. It's picking up on different things that would say whether or not you're lying, like whether or not you're uncomfortable. But for many people, there could be an array of reasons that happens. So the polygraph tests widely they used to be more used when it came to like court of laws and stuff, and now it's not as much anymore because they can be very faulty. But they were talking about a test where it's a much more accurate test where it can pick up on, you know, if you're lying and kind of intentions and things. I forget what they call it. Sound off in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. But I thought that was so interesting. And I was like, when are we going to get the real technology? Y'all, they've had UFOs since the 1940s, because we all know about Roswell. They've got hundreds of years of technology on us that's just sitting there in the government that we don't have access to. I want my UFO. I want to time travel. I need to go meet my fiance, Nikola Tesla. I need to go to the Pleiades in Andromeda and hang out with some aliens. I'm done. Why aren't we living to 500 and why do we age weirdly? Why did I go into this tirade? I don't know. I get irritated being on planet Earth and knowing how much is suppressed from us. At least that's my opinion. It's not like I've seen any of this stuff for myself. This is just what my gut intuition says. Not that you should take that as evidence or fact. Hence the video. Y'all like that? I came full circle. If you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up. Like the video, subscribe, and hit notifications if you're new so you can know when I upload. Sound off in the comments while I scratch my nose. Or when I'm not scratching my nose. You can do it now. What do you think? Do you think that James just keeps getting a really bad rap because people want attention? Because, yep, that's what it seems like to me. And I gotta tell you, I feel bad for James because that's a very lonely spot to be in when you are a kid looking to be social and explore and figure yourself out and get to know people and maybe have relationships. So James, if you're watching, he's not. He's got better things to do. Boo-boo, you keep doing you and just do the best you can and you keep staying in grace and integrity and do what you got to do. Not that James Charles is perfect. Nobody's perfect. But I don't think false allegations should be hurled at and about anybody and then have them ruined. So says me. Okay, guys, I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to go. Enjoy your weekends. Enjoy your whatever day this is. And I will see you guys soon. Take care. Blessings. Lots of love. Hugs. Mwah, kisses. Stay safe. Focus on your health unless you're really healthy. And then in that case, just enjoy your life. All right. Bye, guys.